When my parents moved into my grandfather's old farmhouse in Vermont, I didn't think I would last even a week there. I was 14 years old, and I was furious that I had to leave my friends in Chicago. I couldn't stand the silence that reigned here. No internet, no cable TV, no neighbors nearby. Just trees, old barns, and an oppressive silence all around. The house was huge and creaky, full of drafts and warped floors. Grandfather had died the previous winter. Now we started life with a clean slate, my parents often reminded me. The attic under the roof of this house became my refuge. It was full of boxes, trunks, and old furniture. They were covered with sheets, like the dead waiting to be buried. I spent hours there, rummaging through boxes and trunks out of boredom. That's where I found the diary. It was hidden in a wooden chest, under layers of old yellowed clothes. The binding was black, cracked leather, and the cover still had a red wax seal. The name on the first page was written in elegant, looping handwriting. Natal Row, 1841. At first, the name told me nothing. However, when I asked my father, he told me that Natale was a very distant ancestor of ours. I was also named after him. He emigrated from England shortly before the Civil War. I took the diary to my room and began reading it that night. March 3rd, 1841.
Today I left my home village. On this day the sky was grey and an easy wind was blowing. I am not fond of travelling, but the site proposed by Lord Barrick requires inspection. Father insists that we take it with us. I'd rather die than make this forest edge of an estate my home. The locals whisper about the missing in that forest, about seeing something winged in the dark of night. I'm sure it's all stories and tales of the locals. However, I took a loaded pistol with me.
I read these entries in my ancestor's diary, and they seemed quite ordinary for a 19th century surveyor. They described how the plot was measured, the number of livestock, and the weather. By the fifth entry, however, things had developed differently. March 7th, 1841.
The nights here are wrong. Last night I was awakened by a scream. That scream was not a human scream. I looked out the window. I saw that my horse was almost frantic with fear. Something was circling the trees near the house. It was very dark, and I couldn't see clearly what it was. All I heard was a sound. It was the sound of wings, and a voice like a woman crying and laughing at the same time. The candle went out by itself. The house became dark. The sound stopped, and the horse calmed down. Now I am writing this with trembling hands. I don't understand what it could have been that frightened the horse so much.
March 8th, 1841.
I have seen her. Lord, I have seen her. It is neither bird nor woman, but something horrible, a mixture of both. Pale skin stretched over leathery wings. The eyes are like coals, sunken into a too long, frozen face. She watched me from the trees. She sat in the treetops just outside my house. She spoke. It was a human voice, a rough female voice. "You're riding busy bones," she said. "You're going to pay for a horse."
After this diary entry, the ink is smudged. Several pages are torn out. I remember the goosebumps running down my skin. At the end of the diary was a sketch, charcoal, barely legible, but it depicted what he saw, a harpy. Harpy. Yes, that's right, the harpy. I know how weird that sounds. It's a myth, a monster from Greek legends. Yet, there was something real about the drawing. The last entries in the diary were very different. They were panicky. March 11th, 1841.
My horse is dead, torn. It is torn to shreds. I found her at the edge of the woods. She had no heart. She certainly did it, the Harpy. I don't remember how I got home. I see her when I close my eyes. I see this monster sitting in a tree, and I remember her saying that now I owed her. I buried my horse, whispered words of pardon for not being able to keep her safe, realized, however, that it was not enough.
This is where the diary ended. I closed the book and sat in my room for a long time, looking at the wall. I didn't sleep well that night, and on the following nights too, because I started having dreams, always the same one. Wings over the trees, a cold voice in the dark. You ride on busy bones,